All right, let's dive right into this highly atmospheric new teaser from Google. Now, as executive leaders keeping a close eye on market trends, you know that when a massive tech giant drops a what's new promo, you're usually bracing for a list of specs, UI updates, and all those technical capabilities, right? But that's not what happened here. Instead, Google handed us this fascinating audio landscape. And trust me, this isn't just some clever marketing gimmick. It's a highly strategic move to position their product as literally indispensable for human productivity. So in this explainer, we're going to deconstruct the psychology behind this brief audio promo and see exactly what it tells us about market dominance and how our modern workforce actually interacts with technology. It's kind of the ultimate marketing paradox, isn't it? How exactly does Google tease its newest search updates without showing any actual features? You totally expect them to show off the UI, but instead, we get this auditory mystery. Think about it from a structural standpoint for a second. If you're trying to tease a massive update to the most used search engine on the planet, your absolute first instinct is to show it, right? But by withholding that visual evidence, Google is actually pivoting away from your standard run-of-the-mill feature war. And honestly, that's a hugely relevant move given the massive AI disruption we're seeing in the market right now. They're deliberately creating this information gap. They want the market asking questions, formulating theories, and really feeling that anticipation, rather than just analyzing a quick screen grab that competitors could easily just copy. So how do they fill that intentional visual void? Not with data, but with the lyrics of Depeche Mode's hit, Just Can't Get Enough. The promo relies entirely on this amazing interplay of retro synth pop and super subtle sound effects to build up the anticipation for what's coming next. Specifically, they're leaning on that iconic, upbeat energy of Depeche Mode. And this is a deeply strategic choice. They aren't throwing cold, hard facts at us. They are wrapping the whole concept of algorithmic search in this really warm, nostalgic blanket. For business leaders, this is basically a masterclass in building a brand mode. You're not sitting there thinking about server farms or data indexing. You're literally tapping your foot and feeling an emotional connection to what is, at the end of the day, a utilitarian tool. Let's break down exactly how this sequence builds. We've got step 1 with mechanical typing sounds, step 2 where the song swells, step 3 as the music fades out, and step 4 where a soft chime concludes the audio. Listen to how this creates an essentially 4-act narrative in mere seconds. We start with that completely universal mechanical act of searching, the clack-clack of typing that initiates almost every single modern workflow. It's literally the sound of a team seeking answers. Then the track suddenly swells up, completely overtaking that mechanical noise. But then the energy is brought right back down as the music fades out, which creates this incredible moment of suspense. And finally, the resolution hits with this really clean, soft chime. It is a masterful, wordless journey, taking us from a tactile, everyday productivity action right into something that is purely emotional and heavily branded. Now, look at the specific choice of these opening lyrics. When I'm with you, baby, I go out of my head, and I just can't get enough. I go out of my head. In the context of a pop song, obviously it's about that overwhelming, intoxicating feeling of a brand new romance, right? You're so captivated you just lose your senses. But by placing this track over a teaser for a search engine, Google is making this incredibly bold comparison. They're likening the experience of using their product to sheer infatuation. In a business context, that speaks to absolute reliance. It's about a tool your team is so tethered to that operating without it feels totally unthinkable. And this brilliantly illustrates the core trick here. On the left side, we have the literal meaning of a passionate romantic relationship, and on the right side, the contextual meaning of a user's reliance on a search engine. It completely shifts the context of a passionate romance into this surprisingly accurate metaphor for our digital reliance. Think about how many times a day your own workforce reaches for that search bar to unblock a project, to pull up market data, or to fix a weird coding error. We are incredibly tethered to this digital entity. Google is playfully suggesting that our professional reliance actually borders on the kind of romantic devotion Depeche Mode is singing about. To really drive this metaphor home, the teaser highlights specific, action-oriented lyrics. We walk together, we're walking down the street. Every time I think of you, I know we have to meet. Notice the heavy emphasis on motion and physical proximity here. This isn't some stagnant relationship. This perfectly captures today's mobile, totally on-the-go business environment. It's an active relationship happening out in the real world. The lyrics paint this vivid picture of two entities moving through the modern workflow in tandem, just completely interwoven into our daily routines. As you can see, these lyrics perfectly mirror the constant mobile nature of our daily search habits. So the crucial takeaway here is that these actions map directly to how a modern workforce actually operates, transforming a digital tool into a constant, everyday companion. You aren't just sitting at a desktop computer anymore. You're walking into a client meeting and pulling up insights right on your phone. You are, quite literally, walking together with the search engine in your pocket. Every time a question pops into your team's heads, they immediately meet with the search bar. Google sees itself not just as a static destination, but as a silent, ever-present partner accompanying your team through every single business challenge. Then, the teaser elevates the whole thing to a reliable savior with this evocative line, "And when it rains, you're shining down for me." The imagery here takes a big shift from mere companionship to something much more profound. Rain universally symbolizes turbulence, confusion, maybe a really chaotic market day. Within the logic of the song, the partner provides light and warmth when things get dark. The promise they're making here is absolute reliability, even in the face of major adversity. They're framing the search engine as an omnipresent tool that brings clarity. Metaphorically, this suggests that whatever massive new search update is coming down the pipeline, it'll be there to bring clarity when users face cloudy situations. For your teams, that translates directly to faster problem resolution, cutting through data noise during a crisis, and instantly illuminating the answers they need to maintain momentum. When an executive or a manager is confused about a complex market shift, the engine is there to cut through the noise and provide that clarifying answer. By including this specific lyric, Google is framing their tool as an omnipresent force for clarity, which is a really bold, emotional promise to the enterprise, cleverly disguised as a catchy pop tune. As the music loops this famous chorus, "And I just can't get enough, I just can't get enough," it reinforces this core message of an insatiable human need for information. "I just can't get enough" perfectly encapsulates the modern digital condition, doesn't it? In the enterprise world, this translates to the endless need for data, for market research, for competitive intelligence. We live in this era of infinite curiosity, where finding one answer immediately spawns 3 new questions. The search engine feeds this curiosity to drive critical business decisions, but it never fully extinguishes it. Google knows that our appetite for this data, for constant discovery and connection, is absolutely limitless. For the resolution, the music fades out, replaced by a single soft chime. Finally, the synth pop completely fades away, and it leaves us with this clean, soft note. It's a classic auditory branding technique. After taking us on this super high-energy, metaphorical ride through devotion and endless curiosity, they pull the music back. In UX design, a chime like this signals completion. It signals success and efficiency. It basically tells the user's brain the query is answered, the task is unblocked. It's the sonic equivalent of a sleek, minimalist logo that brings all that high-flying emotion of the song right back down to the polished, functional reality of a highly productive tool. So if we just can't get enough, what exactly are we getting more of? The teaser perfectly accomplishes its goal by offering literally 0 technical details, leaving us with this really provocative thought about what massive updates Google is actually hiding behind the music. They've hooked the market with nostalgia, frames their product as our most reliable companion, and tapped right into our insatiable demand for intelligence. So I'll leave you with this to ponder for your own leadership strategies. If Google is setting the stage for an update we supposedly can't get enough of, how drastically is the search experience about to change? And more importantly, how will those invisible upgrades redefine how your own teams find answers and stay productive in the future?